What's up, my good people of the internet? Dan Tortora hanging out here with you on Superpowered Pop inside of the Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne studios. And I'm always happy to be here with you, hanging out with you. Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne studios, like I said, just an awesome, incredible comic book and gaming place. They are our exclusive studio partner. I love working with Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne. We're in year 2, which is awesome. And you could go and visit them on 21500 Catawba Ave in Suite A in Cornelius, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you're down in the great state of North Carolina, which we've expanded into with Superpowered Pop and Wake Up Call, you can go and visit Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne once again on 21500 Catawba Ave in Cornelius, North Carolina, Suite A. That's Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne, PBKW for short. I'm here today to talk to you about Deadpool and Wolverine. We did our prediction show where I told you what I thought would happen in the movie as far as cameos and whatnot. And then after that, I did my non-spoiler review, which was right after the movie. And now I'm here to give you my full spoiler review of this movie. So, full analysis of Deadpool and Wolverine, a.k.a. Deadpool 3, and a full analysis of that coming with the spoilers of the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie, it's been out for a while. I would imagine that many people have seen this movie. If you haven't, well, then I would tell you to take this video, bookmark it, and save it for later. And if you have seen the movie, then let's just hop right into it and have the conversation here about what's going on in this Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So I thought it was a really good movie. I literally saw it for the third time today. So Deadpool and Wolverine, a.k.a. Deadpool 3. I think it was fitting to see Deadpool 3 times to match how many Deadpool movies have been out there. And getting to go see it, I made a bunch of predictions. Let's go through those predictions. I said going into the movie that I thought we would... I'm going to get the ones out of the way that I got wrong. So I thought that we would maybe potentially see a Punisher. We did not. I thought we would see Ghost Rider. We did not. However, when they roll up into Cassandra Nova's headquarters, which is made from the body of Paul Rudd's Ant-Man that turned into Giant Man that passed away in this version of him from the multiverse, because we know he's still alive in Earth 616, or at least we think he is. So Cassandra Nova, when they come through and get into her headquarters, and when I say they, speaking on Elektra and Deadpool and Wolverine and the gang, when they go in there, as they're driving through, they have the Honda Odyssey go through the fire, and the wheels look like they catch on fire, and the car looks like it catches on fire, kind of like the motorcycle for Ghost Rider. So in that moment, I was like, maybe that was Ryan Reynolds' way of showing a Ghost Rider-esque moment, because maybe he tried to get the Ghost Rider and couldn't get him, or whatever that may be. I just kind of saw that as a Ghost Rider-esque moment. But there was no Ghost Rider. There was no Punisher. However, we did learn about the Punisher, because Elektra, when they have the grenade launcher that they hand to Blade, played by Wesley Snipes, once again, the only one that's ever played Blade. And I'll get into that in a second, my thoughts on that. But when they give the grenade launcher to Blade, they say, this is from the Punisher. And Ryan Reynolds says, which one? There was like 5. And so we know Dolph Lundgren and Ray Stevenson and John Bernthal most recently, and also Thomas Jane, who did a tremendous job. We know John Bernthal is going to be in the MCU. He is considered canon, and his appearance in Daredevil Season 2, and then getting his own series on Netflix, Punisher Season 1 and 2. We do know that those are canon to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and John Bernthal is going to be returning. So I'm guessing the Punisher that passed away maybe is probably Dolph Lundgren, Ray Stevenson, or Thomas Jane. Hopefully not Thomas Jane. I thought he did a really good job with his Punisher, so I'm hoping that he's not gone and maybe he can come back in Secret Wars. But yeah, finding out about that. So we didn't see the Punisher, which was my prediction, but we did know that a Punisher existed and there was a Punisher that was in the void. So as much as I was wrong, I was right in a way because we didn't physically see him, but they did make a reference to him. I said we would see Daredevil played by Ben Affleck. We didn't see him, but there was also a reference to him. Kind of a funny reference because Jennifer Garner, who plays Elektra, and Ben Affleck, who played Daredevil in the same movie, they got a divorce years ago. And they're like, Daredevil died? And Deadpool's like, oh, I'm sorry. And Jennifer Garner goes, eh. And so, obviously that is kind of a little shot to her ex-husband. Like, who cares? So as much as there wasn't a Punisher and a Deadpool, there was a reference to them. So I'll give myself partial credit, I guess, for that. There was no Ghost Rider, except for, like I said, seeing the wheels on fire kind of look like that in a way. I said that Hulk would show up, and Hulk did show up. And based on the scene that we had, guessing that Hulk was the Mark Ruffalo Hulk, I did say we would see maybe the Ed Norton Hulk, so I was wrong about that. I'm trying to think of what other ones I got wrong. Oh, I thought we would see Nightcrawler. We did not. We saw him in the end credits of just like footage from the past, but that doesn't count, so I got that wrong. I thought we would see Alan Cummings' Nightcrawler, but we didn't. And I thought we would see Professor Xavier, either Charles Xavier as Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier or James McAvoy. We didn't see either one. So I did get those wrong. What I got right, Blade, Gambit, Chris Evans as Johnny Storm and not Captain America. Elektra, we knew going into it, so I can't take credit for that. And Pyro, we knew about too. So I got those right. So I was really excited about that. I was excited that I got the Gambit Channing Tatum correct, which is the movie that we never got to see, but hopefully we'll get to see now, as we know that he has survived in the void. I believe they all have. I think Elektra has. I think Blade has. And I think X-23 has as well, Laura. But yeah, so I was really happy to get Blade right and to get Gambit right. And then I thought Chris Evans would come back. And I thought, as Johnny Storm, we would see him as the Human Torch more so than Captain America. So, and that did happen. So those were really good because those were the biggest reveals, right? Blade, Human Torch, and Gambit. So I felt like I did good on the predictions there. Feel good about those. I'm excited. I mean, Gambit, he looked comic book right. I don't know how it felt for Channing Tatum to wear that. I'd love to interview him and ask him what it was like to have all that rubber kind of constricting his neck and all that stuff going on. I did like, speaking of that though, I did like that Deadpool said that Wolverine is like Batman, but he can move his neck in the suit, because it making reference to the fact that Batman has such a thick rubber suit that he can't actually move his neck when he's fighting. So yeah, I mean, to get into the movie, to have a bunch of the predictions right, pretty awesome, and happy that happened. I've been doing that for a few movies. I did it for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I did it for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and it was really cool to see Chris Evans, and I didn't know. When I heard his voice, like after you see it, like when I saw it today for the third time, you can tell that it's Chris Evans. But the first time I saw it, I was like, who is that? And then when he, was there and he showed up and he did Flame On instead of, Avengers Assemble and all that good stuff, that was really cool. Seeing Blade come out to that crazy music, that was like super, super cool. Wesley Snipes. I mean, that was probably like the craziest cameo. And then Gambit, seeing Channing Tatum and really getting to see that kinetic energy, that anything that Gambit touches can turn into this, and like he said, makes things go boom. So, being able to do that with the cards, and that one scene where he expands the deck of cards out, and then you see him just like throw them and they attach onto people, and then like it's almost like a grenade that as soon as they attack, whatever he touches and he throws, like wherever that goes, that there's a tick 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 boom type of thing there, and we see his eyes light up pink, and kind of cool how things blow up in that sense that he went, and we see in the slow motion he's like literally just, instead of throwing cards at people, in some instances he's just placing cards on you, like he's sticking a card to you, and then everyone's blowing up. And then when he had his staff from the comic book, and he was extremely comic book accurate, the color of everything, his chest plate being that pinkish purple and like the magenta, and then him having the black around his head, and just how it was set up, that it went across his head and to his neck, left his face open, the staff, the brown like leather trench coat. It was Gambit, it's the Gambit that we know from the comic books and the video games and the TV show. So I thought that was really cool. And I thought his power was awesome. And then to see his staff light up with the kinetic energy, and to be that magenta color that it is in the comic books as well, and that he, puts the staff through somebody and then that person blows up. Basically, his power was awesome. I think it was really interesting, and I have a theory on this. I don't think that Ryan Reynolds made this Deadpool 3 movie to simply make a Deadpool 3 movie. I think he made this movie to make statements. I think he made this movie to make a statement about Hugh Jackman's Wolverine being, that one true Wolverine. Maybe down the road we have a Henry Cavill as Cavalrine, so maybe because we saw him in the movie as Wolverine. So maybe that's, I like that he did comic book accurate Wolverine, that the first one he goes, and when he's using the TemPad from the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, that the first universe he goes into, there's a Wolverine sitting at the bar, and we can't tell what his height is. And then when he jumps down, because Wolverine in the comic books is actually short, and he goes, "Oh, comic book accurate Wolverine, did you stick the landing?" "Yes, you did, little guy." I thought the one where Wolverine is seemingly looking like he's being, and I don't want to be disrespectful because I believe in Jesus Christ, it looked like he was being crucified, but instead of on a cross, on an X, that he was being crucified, and there's just like all of these blood red skulls that just go on for, God knows how many miles and whatnot. That was a crazy universe. I'm like, what is that universe? And, that one was insane. Then we got to see a bunch of different Wolverines. We got to see the one that kind of had that like red and blue, like that suit, and just like the hair is a little unkept. We saw Henry Cavill as who they called Cavalrine, and somebody that could play Wolverine. He got massively jacked to only be used for a few seconds. Allegedly, there was more footage of him that maybe we'll see when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray and the release on Disney Plus and all that good stuff. I thought the Wolverines were cool. I really did. But like I said, I think that he was creating, I think that Ryan Reynolds made this movie as an attempt to set people up for the future. Almost to tell Marvel, to tell Kevin Feige, like, I'm going to show the people what I think they would be excited to see. And then I'm going to kind of like, I'm going to do a chess move. Like, I'm going to put Blade out there as Wesley Snipes, and I'm going to chess move you to put him in the Blade movie. Because we've seen with the Blade movie that's supposed to come out with Mahershala Ali, it was supposed to be part of Phase 5. We haven't seen it. And they had a director. They lost the director. They got another director. Then they lost that second director. Then Mahershala Ali, apparently, maybe he's not going to be in it anymore. So what's going on with the script? What's going on with the direction? Is Mahershala Ali in it? And amidst all of this, Deadpool and Wolverine comes out. And I think that Disney and Marvel have done an about face. I think they're changing some things. and maybe some things we don't know, and then maybe some things we do know. And I think what was really kind of out there that Ryan Reynolds did with Wesley Snipes is that scene where I was talking about it before, when they say, the grenade launcher, when they're like, "Where'd you get this?" And they're like, "Oh, that's the Punishers." And Ryan Reynolds says, "Which Punisher? There's been like 5." And Wesley Snipes says, "Yeah, but there's only one Blade, and there's only ever going to be one Blade." And then Deadpool turns and looks at the screen and breaks that fourth wall and like makes a look at us like, "Yeah, that's right." You know what I mean? Like that, hell yeah. So I think that what the issue has been with this Mahershala Ali Blade, what I think is actually going on is, I think as soon as Wesley Snipes agreed to be a part of Blade, I'm not talking about stuff that happened before, but as soon as Wesley Snipes agreed to be a part of Deadpool and Wolverine and come back as Blade, what I think happened is, I think that the conversation became with Marvel Studios and Disney that, okay, we got this Blade movie, we're not getting it off the ground, we've had a bunch of issues with it. Then you bring Blade in, you test it, and everything goes well. He agrees to do this movie, and maybe you did some test footage with some people, maybe you didn't, and if you did, maybe it trended well. It did extremely well, in my opinion, in Deadpool and Wolverine. And so I think I think we're going to get a new announcement about a Blade movie, and I think it's going to be with Wesley Snipes. And unfortunately for Mahershala Ali, I don't think he's going to be Blade, which I'm sad about. And I hope that they could give him another character. Hey, if they want to bring back Kang the Conqueror, maybe they can do that with Mahershala. But I think that Wesley Snipes coming back, I think people are hungry for more. And, we didn't get to see Wesley bite anybody. We did get to see him fight. We got to see him use some weapons that I remember from the Blade movies. That blade that's got the, like kind of swing on it, almost looks like the Batarang and whatnot. And so that was really cool. So yeah, I mean, I think that scene of there's one Blade and there's only ever going to be one Blade, and Deadpool turning and looking at the screen when they're in the car and just kind of staring at you and going like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was a statement that was made. And I think the Blade movie, I think we're going to get a Blade movie with Wesley Snipes, and I don't think Mahershala Ali is going to be a part of it anymore. Maybe he could be a villain, I don't know, but probably not a part of it anymore. I'm sad for Mahershala. I would love to see Wesley. I mean, seeing him come out, he looks great, and I love the white facial hair here, and then the dark facial hair up top. I thought he looked perfect, and I think he's ready to fight. It was great to see Elektra again. Interesting choice. I kind of wonder if Ryan Reynolds has a good relationship with Jennifer Garner, or maybe his wife Blake Lively does. But Elektra, that was the one that we knew going into it, that she was going to be a part of this. X-23, seeing Laura again, I thought that was awesome. And, I mean, she's definitely grown up as an actress, and it was cool to see her. I look forward to seeing her again. I love that she has instead of having the claws, she's got like 2 instead of 3, and then she's got one that, like, she's got them that shoot out of her feet and stuff. So I think it'll be good to see X-23 again, which I think we will. Obviously, we see her in the universe that Deadpool is a part of. So that was cool to see her at the end. So I think there's going to be a continuation of that. And I think that Blade is going to have a piece. I think Gambit, this whole, when they're all talking about, we were pruned from our universes, he was making jokes when Elektra and Blade were like, we were pruned from our universes, didn't even get a chance to save them. And then Gambit's like, or some of us weren't even part of a universe. Some of us were a thought, and just joking about the fact that, and then Deadpool joking about, like, did you actually get to protect a universe, or were you even in one? And so, in Gambit's case, we're like, where did he come from? Because that's playing on the joke that the Gambit movie never happened, that was supposed to be with Channing Tatum, that, like Mahershala Ali's Blade, was in development hell, So I hope we get to see Channing again. I think that this movie was again made like it was. I think Ryan Reynolds had a plan to help Wesley Snipes to get another Blade movie, and I think that he is helping Channing Tatum get a Gambit movie finally. Because when we see Gambit, I mean, we see that as far as we know, Gambit, Elektra, X-23, and Blade have all survived the void. And recently, this week, they gave out extra footage that shows that Gambit is here, or that Gambit's still alive, and that he's looking at the screen. And Ryan Reynolds put out, Marvel Sparkle Circle. It says Whispers Marvel Sparkle Circle, essentially meaning, make that Doctor Strange magic circle to jump into different universes, and let's go grab Gambit. So I think we're going to get a Gambit movie, and Ryan Reynolds helped out with that too. So I thought that was great. I thought the fight scenes were great. At first, I wanted more fight scene between Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought it was still lacking a little bit of action. It was cool to see, but I didn't know if we saw enough. The third time I saw the movie, I was like, no. They fought by the 20th Century Fox logo in the void. They fought again in the void in the Honda Odyssey that Nice Pool lent them. So, I thought the fights were cool in that respect. I thought Cassandra Nova was insane. I thought her powers were crazy. Just the orchestrated, and what they did with the trailer that I thought was really cool to the music, when she picked her one hand up, and it picked up Wolverine's hand, and his claws stabbed his one leg, and then she picks up her other hand and brings it down, and his other hand stabs his other leg. And so she does that 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and down, and like makes him put his claws into the ground, and he can't get out. And I just thought that was really cool. I mean, her power was insane when she went like this, when she literally like reached her hand out at Johnny Storm and pulled her hand back and ripped all of the skin off of his body, and like saw his eyes blink, and then he dies like that. Like, I mean, she's an Omega level threat mutant, as we hear in this. I mean, we talk about her. We talk about the power in the comics that has been described that Iceman is one of the most powerful mutants ever, which I don't think has. I mean, we saw it, I guess, in X-Men and X3, The Last Stand. We saw it in that when he turned completely to ice and headbutted Pyro. So, I mean, but we haven't seen what that could really be. So, between Iceman and Magneto and Cassandra Nova and Professor X and Jean Grey when she becomes the Phoenix, you have these big Omega level threats. We did see some of the ships of Thanos that were in the void. So there is an argument here that Thanos and his quote-unquote children may have been killed of some universe by Cassandra Nova. We know the 20th Century Fox was there. The Needle was there to give reference to Canada. And, I mean, honestly, I thought the beginning was great. We've had different songs that have come through, and I thought NSYNC was the most unique one. Celine Dion was in the second one. Let Beauty Come Out of Ashes, which is a song that's really personal to me, and always will be. And Bye 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 by NSYNC, seeing the opening credits and Deadpool dance to that was interesting. It still felt a little bit different than the first two movies, TLC and whatnot, and playing that song, kind of bopping his head to that. I thought that the other two Deadpool intros they still felt a little bit different to me. And yeah, I mean, I would say it was a little bit, it just felt a little bit different. I mean, they all started out with music, but and they all started out with songs that we know, but I just thought these felt a little bit different in their beginnings, and it was just a little bit of a difference. And I'm still trying to figure out when I'm looking at this what how he when he straps on, when he takes, they said they weren't going to desecrate the sacred corpse of Logan, and obviously they lied. So just tried to make us think one way and it ends up being the other way. But what essentially happened, and it was Salt and Pepper that we heard in the beginning of the first one. It wasn't TLC, it was Salt and Pepper. I was trying to remember that. So I want to make sure I got that right. So I was just looking that up. But when we were in this initial scene in the desecration of the sacred corpse, I didn't think that that was going to happen. I didn't think that Logan was going to be dead. I thought we were going to see him dig, and then we were going to see like either the claw come out and stab him, or like Logan's hand come out and grab his neck or something like that. But to see a totally adamantium skeleton, I thought that was really cool. And to have them sitting next to each other, and Logan's skeleton's legs crossed and making his mouth talk and whatnot, and then use that whole opening scene of using the skeleton of Logan to fight, taking his head and swinging it around there when you have part of the spine, and having the mouth open, and like that being Logan's skeleton in his face, and all of that. I thought that was really cool. It just felt a little bit different. It felt a little bit different than the initial Deadpool one of him kind of bopping his head, and he's got the cassette player and he jumps down on the highway, and we have that slow motion, and they have like the names of everybody and whatnot. I mean, obviously those names were different, right? They were like making fun of people and jokes on words. We weren't seeing actual names. In this one for Deadpool and Wolverine, we see their actual names. In Beauty Come Out of Ashes and Deadpool 2, we see that kind of flash dance moment, and he lifts his body up instead of the water coming down. There's bullets that come down, and we're hearing all this music, and it's in this montage that is like a music video, and not what's actually happening in real life. There's the spotlight, and everything else is black around Deadpool, and we're seeing the slow motion, and we're seeing those, like, again, with Deadpool 1 and 2, when they're giving the names of people that are in it and whatnot in titles, they're making fun of things where we're seeing the actual names in the intro for Deadpool and Wolverine. So some of that stuff was just different. And, Bye 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 was a unique take. I thought that was a little bit of, that choice was okay. It's like, all right. But I thought, the skeleton and using that as a weapon and sexually and all the stuff that he did was kind of crazy there. A lot of blood, most blood that we've seen from Disney. Disney refused to show blood with the God Butcher, which made no sense to me whatsoever, that the God Butcher wasn't butchering any gods in Thor Love and Thunder, which to me is the worst movie that the MCU has made for many reasons, and I feel bad for the cast and bad for everybody that worked on it, because nobody wants to go out and make a bad movie. I just don't feel like the movie stayed true to who Thor was, or really to a lot of things. And the God Butcher, I mean, you go and get Christian Bale and you made him a weak villain, and his weapon is the Necro Sword, which is made of a symbiote, and you don't have the rights to the symbiote. Sony does. So why even make a character where you can't use their weapon? You give him a sword like Excalibur, but you don't give him his actual sword, and then you don't let him kill any of the gods, lowercase, and the only one that's killed is off camera. Their blood is gold. Deadpool actually showed the real blood, and that whole intro scene was very Deadpool. And I thought that was great. I feel like Deadpool was still Deadpool. What I didn't like in this movie was that we get to see Deadpool's cast that we're used to, but we only see him for the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. And that was seeing Morena Baccarin, who plays Vanessa, his girlfriend. We do see Rob Delaney more. We see Peter. He plays Peter more. Leslie Uggams, who plays Blind Al. We see her less than I wanted to see her because I love Blind Al. I think she's hilarious. And we really didn't get to see Karan Sony's Dopinder, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, played by Brianna Hildebrand. We barely see her. Yukio, I love Yukio. Shioli Kutsuna, we don't see her that much. And then Colossus, who is voiced by Stefan Kapisik. We see him at the beginning and the end. Buck, we see Randall Reeder. And they joked about in the second movie that he doesn't get any speaking lines. And so that joke continues into Deadpool 3. And then Louis Tan, who plays Shatterstar, and we only see him in the beginning and the end. And kind of like, I'm wondering if they use the same shot, because he's like sitting and eating with his head bent down, looking at us sideways. And that was kind of how we see him at the end of it all, too. And so, I mean, that was kind of sad that the team that Deadpool put together, we really don't see them that much, just at the beginning and at the end of the movie. So I didn't like that part. Other stuff that I didn't like from them, I did like the fight scenes, like I said, more. I could have watched Deadpool and Wolverine fight even more so, and I would have liked that. I do want Matt Milburn, the owner of Parker Banner, Kent and Wayne, who's our exclusive studio partner here for Superpowered Pop. He did give me an interesting thought. He said, this isn't our Logan. Our Logan died. And this isn't the Logan that we know. So that, to me, that kind of made me sit and think. He's like, it doesn't hold the same weight because it's not our Logan. And knowing that, it's not our Logan, he's like, that kind of changed it for him. That this is a Logan that is from a different universe. And yeah, we're finally seeing him wear the comic accurate suit, but it's not the Logan that we know. Same actor, but not the Logan that we know. And once he said that, it made me kind of look at things differently. But at the same time, I mean, Hugh Jackman's Hugh Jackman, and that Logan died in another timeline. So, but I understand, it's kind of like if we met another Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark, and like Tony Stark's dead from Endgame, but then we meet another Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark. As much as we're happy he's back as Iron Man, he's not our Iron Man. He's not the one that we know. He's not the one that we built a relationship with over a decade. Yes, it's the same actor. Yes, it's the same character, but it's not the one we know, right? But I think Marvel's trying to get us acclimated with this. There's an idea that I have for a movie that would involve opening our minds up to the multiverse and seeing familiar faces. So, I can understand what they're trying to do there, but I do get Matt's point as well. And, outside of that, Alioth, I'm just not, the Loki series were okay. They were okay. 5 or 6 out of 10, somewhere in the middle for me. I think it's interesting that Loki is literally holding the multiverse together now, literally, like with his hands. So I wonder what that's like for him and how long he can do that. So, he's from the Ice Giants, right? He's from that world. We know that in these realms, he can live a long time. Thor can live a long time. So we'll see how long Loki can do this thing. But I'm not really Alioth to me kind of looks like a Saturday morning cartoon villain. And that was one that, he's a big purple cloud. He's a big purple cloud with a dinosaur type face. He's like Barney, but like with a bigger jaw and more teeth. And I just don't find that to be scary. Like, this cloud's going to come and get you and eat you. And you're in the void where you're forgotten, right? You're trash. But if Alioth kills you, then you're like dead. Like in the void, you're just there, devoid of anything, right? If you're in the void, you're detached from the multiverse. You're just in this, anything from any universe can fall into this trash can when it's pruned. And I mean, the TVA for making this the back the the backbone of this movie, essentially, right? Like, we need the TVA to tell this entire story. I'm not as bought into the TVA. I'm like a little bit more than I used to be, I guess. But I'm like, TVA. And the fact that the TVA didn't care that Deadpool used Cable's time traveling device and went and brought two people back to life. The TVA doesn't sound like they're the type of place, the Time Variance Authority, that wants to bring someone back to life that's died. It doesn't seem like that's their thing to do. It doesn't seem like they condone that. So the fact that Paradox really didn't care about, now he was functioning on his own, so maybe the TVA would care, and he doesn't care because he's just focused on his one goal and his one goal only of playing some type of a god in his mind, even though there's only one god. Hashtag Captain America saying that in the comics. When he says it to Thanos, he says, there is a god and you're not him, or like, you'll never be my god. So I think, the TVA, you need Loki season 1 and 2, and you can't have Deadpool and Wolverine without Loki season 1 and 2. So I guess it's a way for Kevin Feige to make the Disney Plus TV shows matter. At the same time, again, Alioth, it's not a scary, menacing thing. The fact that Pyro and all these characters, run away terrified, they just look like little scared kids that are running off the playground because the big bad bully's coming. And I mean, these are grown men and women, and he's a purple Barney cloud. So I don't like Alioth as the villain. I don't like Alioth in the Void as the main villain. I think it's kind of ridiculous. I think Cassandra Nova in the Void is enough of a villain. She's essentially now the Void is huge. We have no idea how big it is. Also, what were those like purple looking things that were like, they kind of look bubbly, and they were just kind of like moving around on the ground, like they had wheels, but they're kind of just sliding around on the ground, like really fast slugs or whatever. I was like, is this Disney connecting Strange World to this? Like how Disney connects a bunch of Pixar films together with Easter eggs. I was like, is this Disney making Pixar here and putting like Strange World into the Void too? Is this like a Disneyfied, we're attaching something to Marvel from Disney Pixar? Yeah, that's all I took from that, because I mean, that scene was quick and it made no sense. But I mean, Dogpool, that was cool. I also did predict that Lady Pool was going to be Blake Lively. So she voiced it. She wasn't in the costume, but she did voice Lady Pool, and I said that I thought Lady Pool would be Blake Lively. So that was cool to get that right. It was awesome to see that Matthew McConaughey voiced a character as well. He voiced one of the Deadpools, and he was a Cowboy Pool. And then Nathan Fillion, who we know from a bunch of different comic book things from DC and whatnot, Nathan Fillion was Headpool. He was that head that kind of looked like a character you would see from Jeff Dunham. So that was cool. Baby Pool was played by Olin Reynolds. Paul Mullen, who actually is one of the soccer players from Wrexham that is owned by Ryan Reynolds. He played Welsh Pool. Canada Pool was Alex Kishkovich. And there was, I want to make a note here, because the person that he owns Wrexham with, speaking of Ryan Reynolds, the person who went into owning Wrexham with him is Rob McElhenney, who we know from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he was one of the TVA soldiers. So it was cool to see Wrexham involved with Rob McElhenney, as well as having one of the players, Paul Mullen. So that was really cool. For those of you that haven't watched Wrexham, I suggest you do. Mike Waters was there as the Blob. I mean, we didn't really see the Blob. Aaron W. Reed was the Juggernaut that looks like the Juggernaut that we saw from the Fox X-Men franchise, but it wasn't the Juggernaut. It was the same person, or it was the same look, but a different actor. So, that was, it was good to see Juggernaut, but it wasn't the Juggernaut that we know, which is strange because all these other characters are. I thought it was also unique to have Happy Hogan in here, Jon Favreau, and to have Deadpool use Cable's time-traveling device to go to Earth 616, and then it said Earth 616, the sacred timeline. So here's Kevin Feige and Marvel and Disney reiterating that Earth 616 is where we've been the whole time. This isn't, the Marvel Cinematic Universe isn't a new universe. It's not in the comics. Earth 616 is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is the main comic book universe. It is the sacred timeline. It is the main timeline. And all these other universes are considered other ones, but the sacred timeline is Earth 616. So that reiterates that we've been there the whole time. But I thought Emma Corrin did a fantastic job at Cassandra Nova, getting back to her. And Matthew McFadden as Mr. Paradox, I thought he was good too. Jon Favreau has done an incredible job working with Iron Man, helped us start Marvel Studios, helped to start the Marvel Cinematic Universe, helped to tell the story of Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Downey Jr. as a person's resurgence into the movie world, his second chance at a new beginning, his new beginning. And so Happy Hogan, I thought it was great to see him. But Jon Favreau, a tremendous job on Star Wars, a tremendous job in Marvel. He is one of those guys in the background. We talk about Kevin Feige, but Jon Favreau is one of the main reasons why we've seen so much success. Remember, he was Foggy Nelson in the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. And so he was, Ben's best friend and right-hand person. And then we saw him as Happy Hogan when he showed up in Iron Man, and we continued to see him in Iron Man throughout history. And then he's been working on the Star Wars TV shows and did a great job with, that world and The Mandalorian and whatnot. So Jon Favreau, to me, is, I don't want to call him an unsung hero because I feel like people know his name, but I don't think that we talk about him enough, and I don't think he's credited enough, and people truly know enough of what he's done. And I mean, from The Mandalorian to Iron Man to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general, and to have him be the person that's having that back and forth. And I think what's going to end up happening is I do think that Deadpool is going to have an opportunity to be an Avenger. And I thought it was really, really interesting that we see Thor in that when Mr. Paradox shows Deadpool what, he shows in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Sacred Timeline. There has been really serious moments in Deadpool 1 and 2, very serious moments, right? Cancer, not wanting to lose Vanessa, missing her, wanting to be with her, not thinking she'll want to be with him. Deadpool 2, she dies. The whole movie, he's pained by this. He's trying to kill himself. At the end of the movie, he gets her back. He's also trying to help this kid that has been abused, and he's going through a lot of pain. And it brings up some real stuff about abuse and children being abused in society. So there's been these deeper messages from Deadpool, who is funny, of course, but also very serious. And in Deadpool and Wolverine, a passion project. And when you see him get emotional and, tell Hugh Jackman, when Hugh thinks that his Wolverine is going to save the multiverse, and he says, I waited a long time for this team up. I don't feel that that's just Deadpool. I feel like that's Ryan Reynolds. And because him and Hugh are friends. And then him saying, you're the best Logan. You're the best one. Basically saying, like, no matter what happens after this, if they recast Wolverine, I just want you to know, like, I'm a fan. And I think that was more than Deadpool saying that. I really do. And so seeing him salute Cap and, seeing that he has a heart for that, that he looks up to Cap, that he thinks Cap is amazing. Remember, Ant-Man looks up to Cap as well. Agent Coulson looks up to Cap. So, that beacon that Captain America is, as much as Deadpool is different in his swearing and his sexual references and all these things that he does, we can tell that he still has a moral compass and looks up to Cap as the Avenger of Avengers, and obviously Cap is the first Avenger. So I thought that was cool. And then to see all these scenes, and then he's like, wait, what's that scene? And obviously Kevin Feige and Marvel wanted us to see this and ask these questions of Thor holding Deadpool, and Deadpool's mask is cut in half, which looks like when Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is fighting up against Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, and he reaches his hand out, and oh no, I'm sorry, it wasn't there. It was when it's when his mask is ripped in Spider-Man 3 and he's reaching his hand out and he keeps getting like pummeled. That when I saw the mask cut in half, it made me think of Spider-Man. And seeing that scene where Thor is crying and he's holding Deadpool and we see Deadpool's mask cut in half, it made me think of Spider-Man, and it also made me think, like, what's going to happen here? Obviously, in the future, they wanted us to see this. They wanted us to see this in Secret Wars. Is Deadpool going to die? How can Deadpool die? And what does that all mean? So that's left us with a lot of questions. So ultimately, I thought the movie was really good. I saw it 3 times. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't keep going back. And I thought the fight scenes were good. The comic book accurate costumes. I had no idea that the whole time that Wolverine was here in this movie with us, that he had a hood. And when he pulled the hood over and we saw the extremely comic book accurate mask of Wolverine, and he pulls it down and it's got those same white eyes where you can't, those white covers where they look very animated, in the sense of it, like, kind of brings it to life. And I wonder what it was like to put those on, because when Deadpool wears them, it's like we can't see his eyes, but we can still see them. Like, we can't see them, but they're still telling a story. In those white eyes of the Deadpool mask, I just feel like, they have so much emotion and reaction and all these things. And we saw that with Hugh Jackman. I loved that those were the eyes that they used for that costume as well. And then they talk about those that we try to save end up saving us in return. I think that happened with the kid in Deadpool 2, and I think it happened with Wolverine and Deadpool in this movie. And I like that there was 2 references here where they're like, that's Wolverine, and it's like Disney's going to make you play this till you're 90. And I love that. I love that. I mean, Hugh Jackman got crazy ripped for this. And yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see Wolverine again. I think there'll be more adventures with him and Deadpool. I don't think it'll just be Secret Wars. Maybe. I think it'll at least be Secret Wars. But maybe there's going to be a Secret Wars 1 and 2. I still think that could be on the horizon. And I don't know if you could tell that full story. I mean, you think about Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and how many characters they had. I think Secret Wars ups that ante even more. But yeah, I mean, Cassandra Nova, the predictions I had that came true of the characters we got to see, the references, the comedy, there's a lot of things I liked. The fight scenes between the 2 of them, I thought those were really cool. As soon as we saw X-23 on camera, you felt the emotion of the last time we saw her. At least I did. And I think that that's credit to the tremendous work of a great actress in Daphne Keane, who plays Laura / X-23. I would have liked to see, like I said, more Blind Al and his Deadpool's family, the people that he loves the most, paying to put Colossus in there, and he barely says anything at all. He just kind of stands in the room. I thought that was kind of a waste. I thought the jokes were great. I thought the joke references to the drugs. Do you want to build a snowman? Of course I do, but I can't. Like, I thought that was great. And obviously we saw that in the previews. But yeah, I mean, I think Marvel did a good job of not giving away the entire movie in the trailer like they did with Age of Ultron. And, I trusted Ryan Reynolds with this. I think if it was just Marvel Studios, the way they've been going with movies, I feel like with their propaganda and their political stuff and trying to, force feed these things that have nothing to do with the characters that have been hurting the movies and hurting the stories and hurting the advancement of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because Ryan Reynolds was doing. I mean, really, this is what it comes down to. The movies that have been good post Spider-Man No Way Home have been Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and that's because Ryan Coogler had control of it, I believe, or else that, I feel like Ryan Coogler with Black Panther Wakanda Forever, James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool and Wolverine. I feel like those people behind these movies made sure that Disney didn't get their paws on it and kill and distort and just like ruin these characters. And I think keeping Cassandra Nova alive is great because Disney has this Disneyfying thing that they do where they love killing villains and it makes the villains look weak. I feel like how do you make Kang the main villain for the next decade that's a Thanos level threat when Ant-Man and the Wasp and Ant-Man's daughter defeat Kang by themselves? He's not an Avengers level threat if a couple Avengers are beating him. So, and it's no knock to them. I'm just saying if they can win, then what is the point of calling the rest of the Avengers to fight the battle? So, yeah, I mean, I think this movie, like Ryan Coogler's Black Panther Wakanda Forever and James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, is Disney walking down the hallway and knocking on the door, and each of these people behind these movies going, get out of here. Like, we got it. We don't want to put any of your stuff in here. Just let us do the movie. We want to do the movie. Let us tell the story. And that's what Marvel Studios has forgotten how to do. In Deadpool and Wolverine, I was hopeful that they would remember how to do it, and I think that they did. I think with Ryan Reynolds, this thing gets saved. Yes, this isn't the Wolverine we know, but it's still a Wolverine, and it's the comic book accurate Wolverine. I'm still looking at my prediction that, this Wolverine and like seeing that Wolverine in the comic book accurate costume and, seeing Beast. I mean, I think there's a reason why they brought back the animated series, because we're seeing characters that are X-Men, the original X-Men TV show and X-Men 97, they're accurate to that. I hope Morph goes back to the original Morph and not this whatever that we've been seeing. But besides that, everybody's accurate here. Magneto's hair is a little bit longer. Looks like he could be in Journey or Aerosmith or whatever he'd like to do. But I look forward to what's to come. I really do. And I'm not surprised that Ryan and Hugh Jackman and Sean did agree. Sean directing this, Sean Levy did a fantastic job in making this movie. Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicieza, who created Deadpool. Without them, none of this exists. And, a passion project by Ryan Reynolds. So I give this movie, in the world of A, almost it could have been an A plus. I think I can get there, but yeah, I mean, like I said, to see a lot of those predictions I was hoping for come to life was cool, and some of them that didn't come to life but still referenced. And overall, I mean, the look of the movie was great. The fight stuff was great, and like I said, it grew on me. I didn't think Wolverine and Deadpool fought enough, but now I look back on it, I thought it was cool. And also, like, all of the Deadpools being Cassandra Nova's army and them not really understanding, like, they're serving Cassandra, but, like, the Deadpool core, I mean, by serving Cassandra, do they know that, I mean, every universe is going to die? Maybe they don't care because they're just going to go back to the void with her. But I didn't get it at first. I'm like, this is kind of stupid that Deadpool and Wolverine are fighting Deadpools that are like the villains right now that are trying to keep you from Cassandra. But then knowing that most of the Deadpools outside of Nice Pool come back to life, Cassandra was smart, knowing that Deadpool and Wolverine are going to have to continue to fight this battle forever, because how do you win a battle over an army that's never going to die? So there's that side to it. And, so I think that was definitely big. And, now looking back on it again, seeing it for the third time and saying, okay, well, that makes sense. You have a ever living army, so you're never going to be done with the fight. And then I think maybe directly, indirectly, they mocked Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice by having all of the fighting cease between the Deadpool Corps and versus Deadpool and Wolverine. That fight stopped because of Peter, and that's the way that everything ceases is because every Deadpool, every universe of Deadpool has a Peter. So I thought that was interesting, but it also kind of played on that. Your mom's name's Martha. Wait, my mom's name's Martha, and doing the Bruce Wayne and the Batman Superman thing when they stopped fighting. So kind of like a weird way of ceasing the fight, but also maybe a knock to DC and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. So yeah, I mean, my full analysis of the movie, I thought it was good. I'm gonna give it an A. I thought it was A worthy, for sure. Like I said, close to, I could argue it an A plus. Lady Pool, love seeing that, and yeah, I mean, I'm excited for more. I know that Hugh Jackman. I know you've been doing this for a long time, but please come back. And Ryan Reynolds, I'd like to think you're just getting started with Deadpool. I feel like you have a lot of energy. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm really excited for it. I'm excited for what's to come. This is something that Marvel did right. But again, I want to give credit to, in my opinion, it's the people behind these movies. The James Gunn, I'm going to do this my way. If you're going to have me on here, Disney, then let me do it and don't try to change my story type of thing. Ryan Coogler, let me do my thing for Black Panther. Ryan Reynolds, let me make Deadpool who he is, and don't change him from what, arguably was the thing that 20th Century Fox did the best was Deadpool. So, and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So yeah, I mean, I could sit here and talk about this movie all night because I thought it was an A-worthy movie. And, heck, I'm going to give it an A+. We waited forever to see Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds together, and this movie didn't disappoint. It was really awesome. I look forward to being able to watch it over and over again, and I look forward to seeing Gambit as Channing Tatum. I look forward to seeing Blade as Wesley Snipes, with no disrespect to Mahershala Ali. I just feel like a statement was made in this movie, and I'd love to see Elektra again. I really would. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Got a lot of ideas. There's a lot coming up on Superpowered Pop. You can find us on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Superpowered Pop. That's Superpowered, Powered, Pop. So find us there. And, of course, you can find Parker Banner, Kent, and Wayne Comics and Games, our exclusive studio partner, on 21500. That's 21500 Catawba Ave in Cornelius, North Carolina, Suite A. So it's 21500 Catawba Ave, Suite A in Cornelius, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte, one of the fastest growing cities in America. So we look forward to seeing you out there. Appreciate y'all, and have yourselves a great night. Remember, your superhero, your true hero, lies within. God bless and have a great night.